Yo, what is up, guys? I hope everybody's Monday is going fabulous. Mine is going great, and today I'm going to bring you guys my power rankings for the week. Now, this is something I'm actually interested in doing weekly for you guys. There's a ton of talk on Reddit about power rankings, Twitter. I just see it everywhere, so I don't know if it's something you guys want to see every single week, but I'm going to do it today. You guys let me know down in the comments. If you want me to do my power rankings every single Monday, we can do that. I already do my predictions on every single Tuesday, so it kind of fits in with the schedule. We can talk about how teams go up, how they go down, what's going to change in this coming week, what we were excited about from the teams last week, and what they can even improve on. So you guys let me know down below. And if you guys love Overwatch League and you love the content I produce, please be sure to drop a subscription to my channel. I upload videos every single day, so if you want to stay up to date, you can do that here. So we can begin this video off by looking at the actual standings right now. As we can see, we got New York Excelsior in number 1, Seoul Dynasty actually in number 2, 3, the London Spitfire, 4, LA Valiant, 5, Houston Outlaws, 6, Philadelphia Fusion, 7, Boston Uprising, 8, Los Angeles Gladiators, 9, Dallas Fuel, 10, San Francisco Shock, 11, Florida Mayhem, and last but not least, number 12, the Shanghai Dragons. So if we look at the maps, the win, the losses, the ties, the difference, it looks like New York Excelsior have a huge edge on every single team in the league. They're up 9 on the closest team, which is the London Spitfire at number 3. And interestingly enough, the Seoul Dynasty are actually up here, number 2 in the standings, which I find very interesting because they actually missed out on the playoffs last stage. So they're undefeated so far in stage 2, and they actually look much better than they did in stage 1. So it's surprising to see them so high up in the standings. Obviously, there's London Spitfire who are looking great as well, only 9 maps behind the New York Excelsior and 2 games. So now that we've looked at the standings, talked about it a little bit, let's go ahead and jump into my power rankings and see how they compared to the actual standings. So starting off with the number 12th ranked team in the league for me is obviously going to be the Shanghai Dragons. Sure, there were small discussions going on in my head whether I should go Shanghai or Florida for the last team. Obviously, Florida Mayhem did beat the Shanghai Dragons, and their map differential is better by 9. Now, this being said, I do think Shanghai Dragons have improved more over the course of their time spent in Overwatch League than the Florida Mayhem have, but they did start at such a low. They were the worst team coming in, and they've just been the worst team the entire time. Even though they've improved way more than Florida Mayhem, does not mean they're better than them. So I'm going to go ahead and leave them at number 12. Hopefully they can get some wins soon. They do have some decent Korean players coming in, but I don't think they're going to be able to play till stage 3, so we probably won't see a win for the Shanghai Dragons in stage 2, and this is why they're the last team on my power rankings. Now moving on to number 11, we do have the Florida Mayhem, which I talked about a little bit. They are not a very good team. I think we all know this by now. They are 1-13, 11-45 on maps. They're far behind. At this point, they're virtually out of the in-game playoff race. If they get their crap together, who knows, by stage 4, maybe they can make the stage 4 playoffs. But I think at this point, they're so far behind, I don't think they can catch up and make the playoffs. Even if these new additions to their roster do help them improve, I know Seiya player, he is absolutely insane. We've all seen his montages on YouTube. We've watched him play with Meta Athena. The guy's aim is incredible. His Widowmaker, McCree, are just absolutely out of this world. But I only think that helps them get a couple set wins, nothing drastic, maybe some wins over San Francisco, LA Gladiators, Dallas Fuel, teams like that, maybe they'll be able to beat with those additions. And it's still a maybe. So I don't see the Florida Mayhem improving too much. I do think they'll finish at the bottom of the standings at the end of the season along with the Shanghai Dragons. Moving on to number 10, we do have the San Francisco Shock. So far, the standings are lining up with my power rankings. The San Francisco Shock, they've looked decent at times. They're able to dominate the 2 teams under them, Florida Mayhem, Shanghai Dragons, so it was easy to put them above these 2 teams because they typically make light work of them every time they play. But other than that, they really have not been able to get wins off of any good teams. They did have a narrow victory against the Boston Uprising early in stage 1, which was a surprising victory, but as soon as they beat the Boston Uprising the next week, the Boston Uprising just looked amazing out of nowhere. So if I were to say the San Francisco Shock beat the Boston Uprising, I think it was when the Boston Uprising were a weak team. With some additions possibly coming, I talked about the leaks and the rumors yesterday. Choi Hoibin and Architect could be crucial for the San Francisco Shock. It could really help them. They need that Genji player. They need an upgrade in the off tank. Then with Sinatra and Super coming in, this team could really bolster to maybe a top 6, top 7 team. But for now, I don't really see them getting any wins off of any major teams. They already had their chance against the Los Angeles Gladiators this stage, and I think the Los Angeles Gladiators would be one of the teams that are better than them that they could have gotten a win off of. So that's not going to happen in this stage. I think they'll stay the same, maybe get 1 or 2 more wins, and that's it for the stage. Moving on to number 9, we do have the Los Angeles Gladiators, which I did mention, who did pick up Fisher for this stage, and damn, he's looked very good. I'm actually really surprised how well he's been performing and how bad the rest of the team has been performing. I think the Los Angeles Gladiators have great supports. Shaz, Big Goose, amazing players, but the tank line and the DPS lineup for the Los Angeles Gladiators has been very, very lackluster, and I keep mentioning this in my videos. I just don't understand what the ideology of the coaches are for the Los Angeles Gladiators. Why do they have their DPS players playing the way they are? It just honestly doesn't make sense. They got Surefour in there. He's literally playing the full projectile role some maps, and then the next map he's playing the tracer bot, and then the next map he's playing full hit scan role. When they have Hydration on their team, who's supposed to be that full projectile player, and then Asher, who's supposed to be that full tracer player, why are they running Surefour on both these roles? Please narrow down what you guys want to do. Run Surefour every single game on Soldier, run Asher every single game on Tracer, get good at the counter dive strategy, or run Asher on Tracer every game and run Hydration on Genji every single game and get good at the dive. Just pick one and do it. And I think that's something that some of the other teams have struggled with as well. But Los Angeles Gladiators, in my opinion, are the biggest offender. They really need to figure out how they want to play this meta, what they want to do with their DPS players, because they are really being held back, specifically Surefour. He's playing too many roles. Sure, he's great at some of them, and he's good at some of them, and then he's not so good at some of them. So please narrow it down. That is their main issue, in my opinion, and that leaves them at number 9 on my list. Moving on to number 8, we have the Dallas Fuel. Now, I considered putting the Dallas Fuel lower and even higher. They have so much potential with their new pickups, having Effect, AKM, Rascal, incredible DPS lineup, really, one of the best in the league. Then I start to look at their tanks and their supports, and I get a little scared, man, I really do. Their supports are very inconsistent. Sometimes they can hold their own and do fine, but then there's those games where Custer really just can't do anything for himself. He's getting nothing done for the team, and it's not all his fault, which brings me to the tank situation where Mickey and their main tank are never in sync and don't understand what they need to do together as a team. Mickey's either in the backline pilling, or he's just leaving the backline to completely die, and then they have either XQC in there or Coco, who in stage 1 did not perform good at all. So we'll just talk about XQC from stage 2 for now, who had an amazing first game against the Los Angeles Gladiators, but then in their matchup against the Los Angeles Valiant, he just really was not in sync with Mickey, and he said this on his stream. There's tons of clips of him talking about it. They just do not work together well. He doesn't understand why Mickey is never with him, and he just doesn't know what to do about it. Now, this just isn't Mickey and XQC's fault. It's the whole team's fault, the coaching, the management, everybody. They need to figure out as a team, what do they want to do? They need to effectively practice during their scrim time. How do we help each other? What is our team goal? What do we want to do in order to win the game? They need to decide, what are we doing? Are we counter diving? If we're running the Soldier Tracer comp, we need a counter dive. So XQC can't be going in overly aggressive trying to make plays. Or if they're running the Genji Tracer comp, they need to be diving and Mickey can't be playing too passive. He needs to follow XQC in and make sure they get everything done that they need to get done. So that is their major problem right now. Their supports haven't been performing to their best abilities, and this does have to do a little bit with their tank line. They don't get much protection, and when they do, it's not the best. I've talked about them needing to make upgrades along their tank line. They need a better off tank in my opinion. Mickey just has not been cutting it lately. Mickey can still be an asset to this team, but I just don't think as a starter. It's not going to work. They need an upgrade. They need somebody who's going to be at the best level possible. And that's what I think about the Dallas Fuel. That's why they're at number 8. And let's move on to number 7. As you guys might know, now this is where it gets very difficult because we have a lot of very good Western teams. We have the Boston Uprising, Philadelphia Fusion, Houston Outlaws, Los Angeles Valiant. They're all very, very good teams, and it's very hard to order them, especially when some of them are so inconsistent, like the Philadelphia Fusion, the Los Angeles Valiant, Boston Uprising. So we're going to just start off with number 7. We do have the Boston Uprising, and I think it's a little unlucky for them because they had one of the hardest starts going into Stage 2. They played the Houston Outlaws, and they played the Philadelphia Fusion. Those teams were looking literally unstoppable when they played the Boston Uprising. Then they had to play the New York Excelsior, so an extremely hard start for them. Very difficult. You can't blame them for losing, but the way they lost was definitely a problem. 0-4, 0-4, 0-4. Big issue. They lost 12 maps in a row. They weren't able to get one. You have to be able to get 1 or 2 maps against these teams. I know they were doing really well and they looked great at the time, but when you look at the grand scheme of things, the Houston Outlaws and Philadelphia Fusion just got smashed by the 2 dominant Korean teams. So you should have gotten a map off of them. But regardless, they looked amazing near the end of Stage 1. They did pick up their last set, and because of how good their teamwork looked in Stage 1, I think they'll be able to get it together. If they just focus on one comp, Tracer Genji dive, then I believe their teamwork will completely carry them in this meta, and the Boston Uprising will start picking up sets left and right again. They were a slow starter in Stage 1 though, so they could be another slow start in Stage 2. We'll just have to see. Moving on to number 6. It gets even harder, okay? Philadelphia Fusion, Houston Outlaws, Los Angeles Valiant. Who do I think is better than the other team? Well, the Los Angeles Valiant are the highest in the standings. The Houston Outlaws, they've beat London Spitfire twice. Philadelphia Fusion, they have a win off of New York Excelsior. It's really tough, and I'm gonna have to put the Los Angeles Valiant at number 6. And I know I'm gonna get those typical comments, oh, you hate the Los Angeles Valiant, they've done this, they've done that. I understand. They're not a bad team. Being ranked number 6 is good, guys. Look at the teams above them. They are all very, very good. The Los Angeles Valiant, in my opinion, are a really good team, and they're on the cusp of being the best Western team. I think they are just slightly behind the Philadelphia Fusion and Houston Outlaws. Despite those horrible losses for Philly and Houston, I still think they are better than the Los Angeles Valiant. And Philadelphia Fusion, specifically, are more inconsistent than the Los Angeles Valiant. But I think when the Philadelphia Fusion are on, they are a better team than the Los Angeles Valiant. I think Carpe is better than Soon. Yes, Soon is an incredible Tracer player, top 5 in the league, but Carpe is top 3, top 2. The guy gets the job done every single day. He is probably the only player who's not inconsistent for Philly. Soon also gets the job done though. He's been very consistent for his team as well. Envy and Fate, they're incredible tanks. They get the job done every single game. But then we start to look at their other DPS players and their support players. Coming into the league, I thought Unko was going to be a god. I thought he was going to destroy everybody. I thought he was going to look like Jonak, Bedosin, like that. But he has been a little underwhelming. He's had some good games. Then he's had some games where he is very, very quiet, just like Silk Thread, just like Agilities. But recently, they have been getting bonus points from me. I like this style they're playing. They're running Kariv on DPS. He's really showing up. He's flexible as hell. He's showing up on the Pharah, the Hanzo, the McCree, the Soldier. And don't get me started on his Widow. It's been absolutely insane. One of the best we've seen in the league so far. He's playing a lot of heroes at a very high level, which is really impressive. And I think if Kariv keeps improving and getting better at this DPS role, the Los Angeles Valiant could really make a run for the top Western team and even contest the Korean teams. Because as we have seen, they're also becoming a full Korean team. So that is why I have them at number 6. Let's go ahead and move on to number 5, which is the Philadelphia Fusion. I just talked a little bit about them. Carpe, very consistent performer, one of the best players in the entire league. Then we have the Shadowburn EQO situation. They're both insanely talented and really good. And at this moment, it's really hard to tell who they should run. Shadowburn took that devastating loss against the London Spitfire, so I'm expecting them to run EQO next week since he had a great performance in week 1. I would definitely want to test the waters more with him. And when it comes down to it, I really don't know who is better. EQO is very good. We have to see more from him though. We know Shadowburn is proven. We know he's a great player. He really popped off in that reverse sweep against the Houston Outlaws. And I think the biggest factor for the Philadelphia Fusion is Fraggy, and whether he gets enough pill for his aggressive playstyle. Is he going to be able to stay alive when he plays like that? He needs the proper follow-up. He needs full support from his team if they want to play that type of playstyle. Because if they don't support him, he's just going to be suiciding all game, which we saw against the London Spitfire. So we got Philadelphia Fusion at number 5. Let's move on to number 4, which is the Houston Outlaws. Despite their horrible loss against the New York Excelsior over the weekend, I still believe they're the best Western team. Yeah, it was a tough loss, but let's remember, these guys have 2 wins over the London Spitfire in the regular season, and they have an incredible close game against the Seoul Dynasty, where they barely lost when Linkser was out and Clockwork was playing his role. And they've just been the more consistent Western team in my opinion. They usually always show up and play very good. Even in the matches they lose, they don't get destroyed. Besides that New York Excelsior match, every single game that the Houston Outlaws has played has been very, very close. Yeah, I understand. Again, they are behind the Los Angeles Valiant in the standings. But you gotta understand, in those matches that the Los Angeles Valiant lose, they look very bad. And I think if the Houston Outlaws and Los Angeles Valiant went head-to-head, I think the Houston Outlaws come out on top. And what is very exciting, you just got a sneak peek about my predictions for this week, because the Houston Outlaws and Los Angeles Valiant do play. So there's an early prediction. I do think the Houston Outlaws will win that match. Moving on to number 3, we do have the Seoul Dynasty, who I have said earlier, they look amazing in Stage 2. The meta is really theirs. Miro Huge improvement. I mean, massive improvement from stage 1. This guy he had pathetic Winston gameplay in stage 1. Going into stage 2, he looks like a god now. He looks like the other Korean main tanks, Fate, Mano, Gesture, Fisher, playing on the same level as them now, which is really incredible. The jump in performance from him has been insane. I don't know what to credit it to. I'm just going to say he's been working very hard during his off time, and it definitely shows. As for the rest of the team, we all know this is their meta. It's the Zenyatta Lucio, Ana Lucio meta. This is where they dominated. They won basically 2 Apex championships running these types of comps, so of course they're going to be performing at such a high level. They haven't been tested too much in the stage though. They did have a match against the Los Angeles Valiant where they destroyed them. They have the Philadelphia Fusion coming up this week, so that will be very interesting to watch and see how that one falls. Moving on to number 2, we have the New York Excelsior. I believe the New York Excelsior are very, very close to being better than the London Spitfire, but I think when it comes down to it, when it really matters and the money is on the line and you need to show up and perform, I think the London Spitfire have the clutch genes and the New York Excelsior have the choke genes. It's been proven. The players on New York Excelsior, they come from LW Blue. They have a history of never being able to get over that hump. They always, at the very last moment, fail to succeed. Monty has memed about it multiple times because it's just honestly true. Every single time they have the chance to take what is theirs and be the best team, they fall short. And it's usually in the worst way possible, too. So for that reason, I think that the New York Excelsior are the second best team, and I think London Spitfire are the number 1 team. I've talked a lot about the London Spitfire. I think Prophet's the best player in the entire league. He shows up consistently. His tracer play is incredible, the way he moves around the map. Gesture, I believe he's the best main tank in the league. It's pretty much the same for him. His movement's incredible. Bird Ring, I think he is also one of the best DPS players in the league. And the London Spitfire, they literally have 2 of the top 3 DPS players in the entire world, which is crazy. Their supports are insane. Bados and Zenyatta. Hagopen is also insane. They're deep. Not only are their starters really good, but their bench players are also very good. So they can basically run anybody and still consistently perform. And that's basically it for my power rankings, guys. Let me know if you agree or disagree down in the comments. Let me know if I'm sucking anybody off and you guys hate me for it, because I typically get comments like that. I'm just kidding. I mean, I do get comments like that, not gonna lie. People do say that, and I appreciate everybody's opinion. So leave a comment down below, guys. Drop a like on this video. Let me know if I should do the power rankings every single week. Follow my team on Twitter, team_Kingarna. We did fail to qualify for contenders, but the journey is not done. We will make it into the next season, I promise. And drop a subscription to the channel, guys. I upload videos every single day. Drop a like, and I'm out of here. Peace.